Hey my friends, it's me, your favorite opinionated movie lover. As I've mentioned in previous videos, war movies are my favorite genre. To me, they're a combination of almost all genres wrapped in one. There's something about war that makes for good cinema. War movies tend to draw the best performances out of actors and require real talented directors to film. So today, I'm going to share my top 10 favorite war movies, and this might be the only video where I actually agree with film critics and professors of film, because these are the best of the best. Number 10. Sergeant York. This biopic stars Gary Cooper as he portrays the real-life war hero Alvin C. York. York is a religious man, torn between serving his country with honor or following the teachings of God to never kill. This was the Hacksaw Ridge before Hacksaw Ridge. Alvin York was the first pacifist conscientious objector to win the Medal of Honor, which is something that Hacksaw Ridge was wrong about, and it still gets me angry, but that's besides the point.
That's not true, Sarge.
York goes to France and fights in the trenches of World War I and captures 132 Germans all on his own. This movie is so inspiring and intense, and even by today's standards, it's considered a great movie.
You mean to say that you and 7 others captured all that bunch?
Yes, sir. And we'd kind of like to get rid of them.
Number 9, Paths to Glory.
You can go to hell before I apologize to you now or ever again!
This is by far the most intelligent, impressive, and classy movie ever. The speeches, the monologues, they're the best in cinema history. This is probably the best look at trench warfare and all its aspects of World War I ever put to screen. The battle scene was totally realistic, and it felt more like watching real World War I footage than a movie, and I mean that in a good way. I should mention, I'm an expert in World War I history, so this was a movie that appealed to me on many personal levels. This shows you how the enlisted men face the horrors of war as the generals in high command sit in comfort and gain the glory and praise for their battle. It shows their delusions, their detachments from their subordinates. They don't care about their men, they only care about their reputations. So when an attack fails, a power-hungry, glory-seeking general orders a court-martial against 3 innocent men. They're on trial for their lives, and a colonel defends them in vain, as they all know they're gonna lose the case. This movie features my favorite speech in cinema history.
You're a disappointment to me. You have spoiled the keenness of your mind by wallowing in sentimentality. You really did want to save those men. And you were not angling for Miro's command. You're an idealist. And I pity you, as I would the village idiot.
Number 8, The Deer Hunter. This is the most dark, twisted, messed up movie ever made. Instead of focusing on the combat aspect of war, this film shows the psychological and physical effects on war on a person, and how it affects their home life when returning from Vietnam. 3 best friends from Pennsylvania go to Vietnam and get captured. Their evil, sadistic captors force them to play Russian roulette against each other. The stakes and the tension have never been so high in a film. Number 7, Apocalypse Now. This is barely a war movie. It's not about Vietnam at all. It merely takes place there. This film is about the soul of man himself, and what insanity and trauma to the mind can lead people to do. Captain Willard is a Special Forces Army officer assigned to a top-secret mission to travel up the Nung River in a Navy patrol boat to assassinate a rogue colonel in Cambodia who was worshipped like a god amongst the natives. This movie is the most epic movie of all time. It's like a psychedelic roller coaster ride of a dream. The further up the river than to Vietnam they go, the more they lose their mind.
Do you know who's in command here?
Yeah.
Number 6, Saving Private Ryan. I'm sure you people are surprised this isn't at the top of the list. Be that as it may, whoa is the best way to describe this film. Tom Hanks is my favorite actor, and this is one of my favorite movies. The direction from Steven Spielberg is chaotic. It truly captures the feel of combat, like you're really with the soldiers fighting alongside of them, with his awesome camera motions and his handheld just run with it style. The sound effects were spot on. This features one of the best movie battles of all time, the battle in Ramelle at the climax of the film. Chock full of epic lines and moving performances. And I'm going to quote one of my best friend's opinions on this. Titanic makes girls cry, but this scene makes men cry, and that is a fact.
What, sir?
James. Earn this. Earn it.
Number 5, Jarhead. This to me reminds me of my favorite movie. There's a lot of references to it in Jarhead, and it's kind of a mini ripoff, but I don't care. It's awesome. I've always loved it when soldiers go out on patrol, or when movies build up the suspense that the soldiers have to face between combat, and Jarhead is the perfect example of that. This is the real-life story of Anthony Swofford's experience as a Marine in the Persian Gulf War. There aren't any battle scenes in it, and the trailer was kind of misleading, but the performances and the stellar direction made this movie perfect. In a weird personal way, This reminds me of my childhood and the relationships and experiences I had while at summer camp. It pulls on a nostalgic part of my personality, and that's why I love it. Number 4, Braveheart. There's a reason I'm a Mel Gibson fan, and this is a huge part of why. This period piece shows the real-life Scottish folk hero William Wallace as he fights and he leads his fellow countrymen into battle against the English in the Scottish War for Independence. Now, I know full well that this is as historically inaccurate as they come. As a history buff, this was disappointing, but as a movie lover, this was a brilliant film. The landscaping shots are breathtaking. The epic and large-scale battles with real extras and no CGI are epic. You know what? In fact, the word epic can't do justice to describe the battles in this movie. It's gory, it's realistic, depicting the true horrors and chaos of medieval warfare. The soundtrack is beautiful, and this features one of my favorite scenes and movie lines ever. Not only does this movie make me inspired to do the impossible, but it brings tears to my eyes doing it. Number 3, Born on the 4th of July. Oliver Stone's masterpiece and second take on the Vietnam War is a powerful movie. Like The Deer Hunter, it doesn't show much combat, but it does show how the war affects one's life when returning home. And this is the true story of Ron Kovac, a Marine who gets critically wounded in battle and how it ruined his life when he got back to America. This is a really sad movie, but it's powerful, and it shows the personal effect of how war is devastating on both home fronts and the front lines. Though I do disagree with the message of the movie, I sure do respect it in every single way. Number 2, Platoon. I've talked about Platoon before and what makes it great. This movie is in part based off of Oliver Stone's time served in the Vietnam War. The battles are tense and fill you with adrenaline. It's a heavy movie and one that doesn't glorify or make light of war. Number 1, Full Metal Jacket. This is my favorite movie of all time. I've stated that and talked about why in a previous video, but truly, this is the best movie of all. Stanley Kubrick is the master, and his take on Vietnam is dark, eerie, but the truth. I've seen this film more than any other movie out there. Well, except maybe for Wild Hogs. Battles were full of suspense and awe, raw emotional power, and really shows how war transformed young idealistic disillusioned kids into battle-hardened veteran men. The sniper battle was indescribable. This is one of the most accurate depictions of war ever put to film according to Vietnam veterans. From Joker's 1,000-yard stare, to fighting a child soldier, to singing a Mickey Mouse song to regain a sense of childlike innocence after a hardcore fight. Now that was Vietnam. Thank you so much for watching this video. I want to dedicate it to all the men who fought and served our country, and to my buddy Dave. If you disagree, well, make your own video. No, I'm just kidding. Comment below, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on the next Unpopular Opinion.